Welcome to HearthBreakers, the podcast where hearts are broken and cards are played. On today's episode, you'll notice we have a new host, and it's me. And it's because we wanted to mix things a little up and see how different hosting goes. And I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, let's go to today's special. And on that note, we have an introduction, which we are currently doing, which is awesome. And then we'll talk a bit about tournament development, what kind of tournaments have been going on the past week, how they have affected the scene and such. And then we'll, as usual, talk a bit about a meta discussion and what we were playing in conjunction to the meta. And after that, we'll talk a bit about deck building, which we have a separate section for today, where we will talk a bit about what cards are good in most decks and how you can build a good basic deck from the ground. And in the end, we'll finish it up with some results from our in-house tournament, where we played with last week's challenge, and we'll talk a bit about the winner and the rewards and show our absolutely terrible decks, which you should definitely not try to build ever. So yeah, so let's talk. Let's take each person and find out what they've been doing the past week. So Michael, what are you drinking, and what have you been doing the last week?
Well, the last week I have tried myself with a little bit of fruit and trying to go back to some of my earliest street builds with trying to make some control and some stuff like that, but it didn't really work, so I'm climbing ladder with the shaman deck I have always played. And I am drinking Royal Classic. It is a Danish beer.
It is a magnificent Danish beer. I can definitely recommend it.
At least I like it. So.
Well, cheers.
Yep. That goes for you as well.
Yep. So Henry, what's up with you? What are you drinking? Tell me about your life.
My life right now? I have holidays right now, so that's fine. And right now I'm drinking coffee of my world's best teacher mug. As you might know, I'm a teacher, so yeah, that's nice.
Cheers for that.
Thank you very much. And what I've been playing on the ladder these days, I've been jumping a bit back and forth, but I actually got a deck from a viewer that I really like the concept of, so we'll be talking about it later, actually.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a really fun hunter deck, so we'll check it out later.
Yep.
Cool.
And Christopher, the last man standing.
Yeah, I've been a bit stressed with my study, and when I've had time, I played the priest deck that was shown last week, I believe. Yep. And I've climbed the ladder a bit with that. I'm currently sitting at rank 4. So. Making my way to Legend.
That's awesome.
And drinking orange juice, multi-fruit juice.
Oh, the OJ.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not actually orange juice, it's multi-fruit.
Oh, I thought you said orange juice.
Yeah, I did. Was a mistake. It tastes good.
Cool.
And Christopher is a liar. Cool.
Oh well. Anyway, myself, I'm drinking the mighty Heineken brew, the most amazing beer in the world. I can definitely recommend it. It tastes amazing. And if you haven't taken a drink yet, definitely go out, get a beer, come back. Of course, you should definitely pause the show, get a beer, then come back, unpause the show, and we'll be here waiting for you with our beers, our tasty, tasty beers, and our great Hearthstone wisdom.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, I think we should go to tournament development, unless I missed something.
Nope.
Cool. Well, Michael, would you like to talk a bit about our first topic on tournament development?
Yeah, sure. So we recently saw, I think it was Gosu who made the gosucup. It ran last Saturday. And they are promising $100 for first prize.
For the European
or
server,
first
right?
place. What?
For the European server.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool for us Europeans because ESL is already running some big tournaments, weekly tournaments, I think, on NA with also I think 500 in cash prizes or something like that. So it's cool that we are also getting something of the same sort in Europe.
Well, it's not quite the same money size, but
it's not as big, but it's still something, and it's free
better
to
than
participate.
nothing.
Yeah, but what the most interesting thing about this gosucup is the fact that they are endorsing this whole ban philosophy that have been a great discussion in the Hearthstone community lately.
Yeah, the community side bans on cards,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And they went ahead and banned Pagle.
So I guess he won't be waiting and fishing all day.
Exactly. And for me myself, I think last week I said how I didn't like the card in the meta game. I hated it actually, and but I would rather see Blizzard do something about it. But if Blizzard isn't doing anything about it, they need to get the message from somewhere. And it's cool that gosucup is starting off and endorsing it. So.
Well, what does everyone else feel about the net Pagle ban? Do you think it will? Do you think it will make a difference? Henry, Chris?
Well, to start off, I don't know. It's I think, as Michael said, it's more like a message than anything. I think they kind of need to do that in order to get something through to Blizzard. When you have a card and you actually have to ban it, that's a big problem in my opinion. And I endorse the decision. I think it's a good decision because the card is so problematic. It's
definitely.
Yeah. If you don't know what exactly we're talking about, go back to the next episode and watch it. It's
where we discussed net Pagle.
A lot of discussion about net Pagle, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. That's my take on it anyway.
What about you, Chris? No further comments?
I think we covered it really thoroughly last week. I'm not really a fan of having to do community bans, like community created bans on cards. But yeah, I guess if that's how they're gonna run it, then fine. I don't think in the end, I don't think it will change who wins the tournament. Like the best players will still win, but yeah, it removes a bit of the RNG.
I think I disagree a little bit.
It removes a bit of the RNG.
Yeah, because the game is random in general, so you can never really predict who's gonna win from a skill level. But I think banning that Pagle will help the better players have a better chance. But like the decks will be the same. It's not like, whoa, we removed that Pagle and suddenly one deck is now destroyed and the meta shifts insanely. Like, what will happen? Will people just throw in a loot hoarder and say, well, nothing changed? Or
well, let me ask you: do you think people for the Gosu tournaments, at least, do you think people would just find one card to replace that Pagle that does kind of the same, like maybe an acolyte or like a mana type totem, or I don't know, loot hoarder maybe? Or do you think people will definitely just make put in something completely different? Or do you think they'll just try to replace the Pagle?
I think it really depends on the deck. Like some decks, some decks are really tight and could have like several cards that are not space enough for, and you'd probably just put one of those in because that Pagle so severely outclasses all the other small draw cards.
Well, do you believe people play Pagle for the actual draw power deck thinning, or do you believe people actually just play because it's like broken?
I think they just play it because it's better than not playing it. Not because like you play it in all kinds of decks you wouldn't play loot hoarder in. So an acolyte, like you just if you have if you have not Pagle, you play it basically, unless you play Hunter, I guess.
Yeah. I
Or
actually.
aggro.
Yeah, aggro.
Generally, I don't know. You could play it in aggro, but I don't think it's that prevalent.
I've seen it in some Warlock Rush decks before, like not
Yeah,
the Murloc
not Pagle.
version, but not
Well,
Pagle. Yeah.
well, you can
Because
buff it.
It fills your hand,
Yeah, true.
basically.
Yeah, but you don't really need that in Warlock aggro.
No,
at least I believe.
yeah, that's right. You lose the 2-mana tempo.
Yeah,
I
you
guess.
do.
So I wouldn't play it there. But I think people will make a mistake if they think they can just change this card for something else in the deck, because then you miss some of the flow in the mana curve. Since Nat Pagle is a card that is really good early, but you can get away with like drawing it in the late game. So you cannot just say, well, I put another 2-drop like I don't know.
Yeah, some of the things I've seen.
Yeah, Loot Hoarder you could exchange it for Loot Hoarder and say, well, it's approximately the same. Loot Hoarder is just a weaker version, but they do the same.
Yeah. Well, some of the things I've seen that Pagle do in late game is kind of if you have you have a pretty good board and you have a Pagle, and even though the Pagle doesn't have like taunt, like even though they have other minions, people usually try to clear the really dangerous minions before like going for the Pagle, because if you use a minion to attack the Pagle, you actually could lose board control really hard.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so good, because you cannot really afford to even kill it like straight up late game if you really need the attack for something else.
Yeah. If the game is really, really close, that is.
Yeah. Like, but you will usually kill the Pagle instead of doing like a direct attack, unless they're really low, and yeah. So anyway, quickly let's move on to talk a little bit about Friday Night Swiss from I believe it's from Mana Grind.
Yeah, it was a charity event last Friday.
Yeah, was it organized by Mana Grind, Michael?
Yeah, it was a Mana Grind tournament. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
they have ran it for 10 weeks now. This is the 10th Friday Night Swiss, but it has always just been this fun tournament. No prizes, no fee to enter. But this last Friday, it was basically it was a special version because they made it into a charity event and they got a lot of partners and sponsors and stuff. So it got really big.
And another upside from it is that it was actually a Swiss tournament, which we are quite familiar with from Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how do we feel about the Swiss format?
Maybe we should try to explain what a Swiss tournament is. If people
definitely. Well, anyone want to take the lead?
Well, basically, you have a bracket with all players, and then you play a certain number of rounds, and it's best of ones, in this case, at least. So, you get 1 point if you win, and you get none if you lose, and then the one with the most points in the end, of course, goes on.
Yeah, then you cut for top 16 or top 8 or something. Once you have played like, I don't know, I think there was like 100 players in the tournament you played, and there was...
a bit over 100, I think.
Then I think you played 7 rounds, and then the 16 people with the most points played top 16 afterwards.
Yep.
And then you just get single elimination, best of 3, I believe, from the top 16.
What really makes Swiss different from single elimination is the commitment, I feel, to the tournament. Because Swiss, if it allows you to play 7 rounds, even if you lose one of the rounds, or you might even lose 2 of the rounds and still be able to make it to the final cut, 16 or top 8 or wherever you put the cut. We just lost Dario. Cool. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
But basically, the commitment to the tournament it's way larger in a Swiss style tournament, which I like. But if you don't have the time, if it's one of those you play it every week just to see how far you can go. I think I like single elimination a little better because, well, if you lose and then you're out, then you don't have to wait.
You don't have to commit as much time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
but this there's a different feeling about this. Like the whole community, we had to be on a team speak and wait for commands, and just the dream I lost around in round 3 or something, but I still won everything else, and I was able to make it into the top 16 and win a game there and continue on from there. So the whole there's still hope feeling and talking strategy and seeing, oh, how far is this guy going? I like the Swiss style in general.
Yeah.
If you put time into it and if you make a big tournament with something big on the line, it feels more like a whole day event. It feels more like an event than just some side note.
It feels like you put you spend a day playing Hearthstone instead of with Mana Grind. It can usually be like, well, I guess I'll do this before I guess
Or
I'll play
eat or something. I don't know. Yeah. Exactly.
Just play around, see how far I can get. With the Swiss tournament, it actually felt like you played an entire event and you met a lot of awesome people, and exactly. It was kind of there was more community feel to it. I really liked it as well.
Yeah.
It had a little more longevity, like you're also there for longer and you want to play all your rounds no matter what. Yeah. In the other Mana Grand tournament, you can be out after 10 minutes maybe if you're unlucky.
Yeah. Exactly. So you just need to use the Swiss format with use it for what it needs to be used for. Use it for big tournaments or use it for like a whole night event. Use it when it's special. So people will feel it special and they will commit the time that the Swiss tournament needs.
Special.
It's special, and just all the weekly tournaments just go for single elimination because like we do it every week, and at some point we'll win, and sometimes we lose, and then we don't waste our time. So yeah, the Swiss should be big tournaments, at least in my opinion. Yep. And this was big. It was what 120,
almost 110 people.
Yeah.
And there were some prizes as well. I'm not actually sure what prizes there was. Do you know, Michael?
No, sorry.
But there was prizes for top 3 definitely, and I think they raised a lot of money as well, which was really awesome.
Last time I checked during the tournament, I think they raised $700 or something, $700 or.
Yeah, that's quite nice, I'd say, for a Hearthstone tournament.
Yeah.
Random Hearthstone tournament.
For a Hearthstone tournament with 120
players.
Participants and maybe a few viewers from outside. Then in average, each person donated $6. So that's definitely an achievement.
I'd say that's quite reasonable.
Yeah.
So, do people prefer Swiss? Chris, Henry?
Yeah, I like Swiss more for sure.
I think I must agree with Michael that sometimes single elimination fits the tournament, and sometimes Swiss fits the tournament. One thing I really don't like is big tournaments with double elimination, because if you get knocked down to the lower bracket, you have to play a billion fights, and it can be really exhausting and a really long tournament. And the people that are just winning all the games in the upper bracket have to wait for ages. Like you can do double elimination maybe in top 16 or top 8 in a Swiss tournament, but don't do it in like a huge tournament because it just kills you. Yep. That's my opinion, at least.
Well, definitely, it's a valid opinion, I'd say. And I guess that's it for the tournaments, I believe. So let's move swiftly over to some meta discussion and talk a bit about our current decks. But first off, let's talk a bit about what's on the ladder. And, well, in my personal experience, and I've been playing a lot of ladder recently, it's actually mostly the same. There's distinctly one new deck that I've seen on the ladder, and that's, or not new, but it's the Miracle Rogue deck, which I find quite interesting. It's been growing a lot in popularity recently, and more and more people are talking about how they reach legend with Miracle Rogue and how it's so awesome. And I've seen a few versions of it, especially some versions are choosing to run the mana. What's it called? Mana
Addict.
Mana Addict. Yep. And it's been run like more of a OTK. Like it can do insane amounts of damage in a Miracle Rogue deck. I think I took like 25 damage or something from it for one turn where it got cold blood and shit. So it can deal a lot of damage in pretty few cards actually in the Miracle Rogue deck, because most of them replace their cells. So yeah, let's. Does everyone have their Miracle Rogue deck open?
Yeah, it should be open.
It's up, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk a bit about it. So, does anyone wanna take a shot?
I have a shot at Edwin Van Cleef.
Van Cleef.
Van Cleef. Van Cleef. Yeah, it's double E. That's true. Edwin Van Cleef. That is the right pronunciation. That card is, for me at least, it's new in the Miracle Rogue deck. I haven't seen it. I remember when me and Henrik, or Henry or whatever, tried to make a Miracle Rogue deck. We originally we played Van Cleef, but we decided that he was very often dead in the hand, and the few times we got him a big version of him onto the field, it didn't really matter because we were winning anyways from all the cards we just played that turn. So we decided to cut it. So
it was simply a turn too slow.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Questioning Adventurer. Also, we also tried him. It's kind of the same concept.
Yeah. It's kind of the same with Mana Addict, don't you feel?
Yeah.
Because it has to survive a turn before it can actually use it to do damage.
But that's why we have Conceal, though.
Yeah. But we tried Mana Addict as well, and at least me, I think Henry as well, came to the conclusion that we didn't like it either. Like we were running some more like a little more.
Well, something has to be working for this deck because
the deck,
people are playing it.
Yeah.
It has
in
been
my
here
experience,
for a long while actually. But
yeah.
Some people play it, and it's I don't know.
But yeah,
and people have been playing it recently to great success as well. So
yeah,
I know I've been beaten up by it a few times on ladder.
Yeah, and the deck really comes down to the Leroy Jenkins because you're drawing so many cards, and I have never seen this deck win without Leroy Jenkins. But of course, that is not the point is to win with Leroy Jenkins. Anyways, you're drawing like how many spells is there in this deck? I think 15 or 20 even maybe.
More, like 20.
So, and
20-ish.
some of them draw by themselves, and with gadgets on, they 24. Draw even more cards. It's basically draw into Leroy, and then you put a little damage onto the opponent beforehand, and then you smash face with Leroy Jenkins.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the win condition in the deck, and it is working. I'm just saying that I'm not sure Van Cleef is needed, but.
So you would take Van Cleef out of this deck list?
Yeah, Cleef, yeah. Yeah, I think I would, but.
Anything else? Is there anything else that you find kind of interesting that you would like? Any cards in particular that you wouldn't play or feel are missing?
I feel the Fan of Knives in this one is more control-ish. It doesn't give damage to your opponent, and it's only I don't know. I guess it's good against rush.
Well, I think yeah, you can say it could be a tag against the Hunter matchup, but I think like the deck wants to play control until turn 4, 5, 6-ish. Until they can play
so they can
just explode.
Well, they kind of also want to play control after that. Like they want to control the field and then push for damage with cold bloods, and like the times that I've lost to it, it's actually been to like gadgets on turn 5 or 6, and then they throw like 3 or 4 cards and conceal it. Then I can't kill it, and the next turn they put cold bloods on it and do all kinds of crazy shit and draw tons of cards.
Exactly, and that is how the deck wins.
Yeah,
you don't need to control the field; you just need to survive. So, like the reason you put conceal on it is because you expect to survive all the hits in your face, and expect to win the next turn because you have full mana for the gadgets on,
Yeah.
or the next turn again. So you want to destroy or like keep yourself alive until that turn 5 or 6, and that is why I think we played a couple of loot hoarders in the deck.
Well, Fan of Knives draws you actually 2 cards with gadgets hand, which is kind of the same as Shiv, but it's kind of the same as Shiv, but it just does damage to everything instead of only one.
Yeah, but I think Fan of Knives, it's fine for tempo, but it's just so expensive and it doesn't really help you too much with clearing, like keeping the boards. I think it's a matter of Hunter, since when we played Miracle Rogue, Hunter wasn't a thing. So now Shiv and Fan of Knives is actually killing stuff. Where when we played it, it was just when we played it, when people played Rush, it was these Murloc decks, or mostly the Warlock deck with these dudes with 2 health or more health, and that is why we needed the Loot Hoarder. But yeah, all the Hunter cards have 1 HP, so Shiv does the job better here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Chris, do you have any comments on the deck? I know you had some cards that you disliked.
I think the Acolyte of Pain, maybe. It probably would be not Pagle if he had it. I believe he didn't have it. That's the reason why he plays Acolyte of Pain. Other than that, I can.
You should play in the gosucup.
Yeah, I can mostly agree on what you guys said. The Fan of Knives is not something I have seen too much, but I think I like it as a tech in the current meta. The Edward Van Cleef, I have seen it quite often. Yeah, I think I see it in most of the decks I face, but it tends to do not very much. I feel.
Yep.
Maybe I always get screwed over by Blade Flurry, so maybe I'd like another one of that.
It's a crazy card.
It has a big potential, but
it needs setup. I know.
Yeah.
It just always owns me, and I hate it.
Well, that's
such a good card for clearing boards. Like probably it's the strongest AOE spell, but it has potential to be that at least.
Yeah, 3 damage.
Yeah.
Well, you had to consider that with Blade Fury, you lose your weapon, so that's like a cost.
But it doesn't matter.
I think I really want a Blood Mage Thalnos in the deck though. There are just like it works with Backstab, with Blade Flurry, Eviscerate, Shiv, and Fan of Knives.
Yeah.
It's just really good. I think in this deck.
I would agree and put it in instead of Acolyte.
I guess, yeah.
And then maybe something else, maybe Pagle instead of Van Cleef or something. I don't know. But
can we just clear it out? It's Van Cleef.
Van Cleef, yeah. Sorry, I got Van Cleef into my head for some reason. But
just so the viewers don't get the wrong impression.
It is definitely Van Cleef. It's double E and it's pronounced.
Yeah, Van Cleef.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, any last comments on the Miracle Rogue deck? Anyone wanna take a shot, take a punch at the deck? Or what have people been playing it on ladder? Like playing against it on ladder? Like do you?
I haven't really met it actually. Not really. Oh yeah, I don't know.
I've met it a few times, and it's really annoying to play against because you feel like okay, it's going pretty well, and then they throw up gadgets and auctioneer and conceal, and you're like, I don't know what to do.
It's
and then you just
really
lose.
Well.
Then you just lose. It's really annoying. And sometimes they do like Leroy Jenkins Shadow Step, Leroy Jenkins Cold Blood, and just hit you for 16 damage. And with a concealed auctioneer, you just lost so much health. It's just annoying.
So you could say it's mildly frustrating.
It can be. I feel it's like it's not as annoying as Hunter because this deck I feel takes some brain capacity to play, which Hunter doesn't.
So we rate the annoyance of decks by how much brain capacity it takes to play them.
In some way.
Where Hunter is like somewhere here.
Yeah, I just find it really annoying to lose to Hunter. Luckily, my priest is really good against Hunter, so.
We'll get to that later.
Well, yeah. I played against this deck sometimes in both the Friday Night Swiss, and in some different mana grind tournaments and some stuff. And it's really scary because you don't know if you are in control. And even if they don't have the gadgets on, sometimes they'll just, if they drew the Leroy Jenkins earlier in some of the early hands, and just, Jenkins, Cold Blood 2 times, Shadow Slip Jenkins, and then, that's 20 health. Then it's just so much damage out of nowhere. But
and they draw 2 cards from it.
Yeah, exactly. But in general, I don't have too much of a problem with it, simply because I usually play Shaman, and then I get some. I like the 0/2 Taunt Totem, and Shiv can't kill it. And if they overspark it, then I drop a Sentient or something. It's like these very small totems are so annoying for them.
I feel like it's a fun deck to play, but when it comes to consistency, it has some really bad matchup. I think that's why it's maybe pretty bad for laddering. I don't know.
Oh, it should be pretty good for laddering since it's making legendary.
Well, I believe it's kind of. I can see where Henrik comes from. Like it.
But you can get legendary with the basic deck, so it's
definitely. like you can play anything and get legendary if you play enough. Like I feel Trump just recently got to legendary with like a free mage deck.
Yeah, I think he did too.
Yeah, so like that's not like relevant, or I'd say that's not legit argumentation, but definitely like I can see the inconsistencies in the deck, and when I play against it, sometimes it just goes crazy, and sometimes it's kind of like meh, it's okay.
Yeah, if they don't draw the gadgets on or the Leroy, it's just I don't know.
Yeah, they have, like, to be fair, they have a lot of draw power, and I believe if you play it, you try to mulligan, so you have the gadgets on the starting hand,
exactly.
So you really need that card to go off, and if you don't draw it, like if you are insanely unlucky and both your gadgets are like the last 2 cards in your deck, then you're just gonna lose. But if that's not the case,
but I feel when you have a deck and you can say to yourself, "I lose if I don't draw this card," then you have a problem. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Well, I guess that's why they call it a miracle rogue deck. So once in a blue moon, you just explode all over the field, and suddenly there's stuff everywhere, and you have a million cards, and the opponent is crying in their sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the next round, you just play Fan of Knives and draw more Fan of Knives.
Yes.
Draw more shifts. Yeah.
By the way, one last comment. Sprint, what?
Yeah, Sprint is with the preparation.
Yeah, it's to set up with preparation. If you have the gadgets on and you drop preparation Sprint.
I guess it's 4 mana draw, 3 cards, I guess. That's okay.
Draw 4 cards.
Yeah, you use preparation.
Preparation is fine.
On it, so.
You draw 4 cards, but...
Yeah, but you use preparation, so...
Well, yeah, you lose a card, but you draw.
So basically, the combo in itself is draw 3 cards for 4 mana, which is good, but situational. It's kind of weird.
If you have gadgets on, it's a freaking sick combo. But
yeah, but
if you had gadgets on, you play something else. You don't.
Even if you get to late game, if you get to late game, like Sprint can save you a day, because if you eventually run out of cards, just dropping Sprint will get you back into the game.
But then you already lost, really. With Miracle Rogue, like other kinds of rogues.
I wouldn't say so. Like if you have already poked for a lot of damage and they somehow regain board control, like you can still come back.
Yeah, true.
But definitely, like Sprint is kind of a comeback card, I'd say.
It might be good. I don't play this deck. I only
either that, or if you can just only do that in turn 4, I guess it's fine. It makes you get a little bit ahead and get your key cards for turn 5.
Yeah, you can use it turn 4 to actually draw gadgets on which you can play on turn 5, so it's kind of cool.
That's a good play. Normally you're not dead on turn 4 anyway, so...
Yeah, unless you're playing Hunter.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so I guess, it's a good combo with the gadgets on, but who are we kidding? Every single spell in your deck is a good card with gadgets on the field.
Exactly.
So, So let's let's move on to talking a bit about our decks.
Yeah.
So this is actually a deck that I got from our viewer, and to the left we have the deck that he showed me, and to the right we have the new deck that I made. So basically, the idea here is it's a hunter deck, and we have a lot of synergy between spells. We got the Starving Buzzard with the Snake Trap in his deck, and yeah, we have Unleash the Hounds, which is just it's hunter, so you know that. And the Frostwolf Warlord, which also synergizes really well with Unleash the Hounds and Snake Trap. And what we also play here is Scavenging Hyena. He played 2, I changed it to 1, but yeah. And the Starving Buzzard. So, what I found out when playing this deck was very interesting. It actually surprised me that Thunder Rhino is such a sick card. I don't know how many games I've won on that. You have it on turn 5, and it's a charger. It has 5 HP, so you can actually use it for trading out with the rush decks. It's a really good matchup against rush decks. This deck. You also have the Kodo for removing small minions, and yeah. So, but his deck is a little more inconsistent, and a little more relying on the big wombo combos. So what I did was to put in some 4-drops like the Chillwind Yeti and the Defender of Argus to make it more control-ish, and remove the Frostwolf Warlord since, in my opinion, it was just a tad too slow. It's very good, but if it gets removed, then it's just far away.
So let me just ask you, how do you feel about the Beast?
The Beast. He told me that he played the Beast because he didn't have Sea Giant, so that's what I feel about the Beast. I also feel that the Beast is a beast sometimes, but sometimes it's more like a little puppy that dies and you lose.
But it seems awesome with Thunder Rhino, though. Like, if you have a Thunder Rhino that survives
the problem is the consistency of comboing a 5 and a 6 mana card.
Yeah, sure.
Smart, but I see the point with the Beast.
I agree that that Sea Giant seems better in general.
Yeah, Sea Giant just works so well with Unleash the Hounds. So yeah, and in general you have a lot of high HP minions like Kodo and Thunder Rhino. So it's highly unlikely that you have an empty board. And Sea Giant is also a good comeback card, kind of, if you play against a spammer. So, and actually I've won a lot on the ladder. I think it's like 80% win or something with this deck. So it's pretty impressive. And it's really fun to play as well.
Yep.
Nothing like drawing 4 or 5 cards off and Unleash the Hounds with the Starving Buster.
Did you actually playtest the Beast?
The Beast, no, I didn't. But maybe I should actually, just because I get the chance to play.
Why not?
The
Beast.
Such a beast.
Beast. The Beast is actually it's a cool card because it's a beast.
Could you might say that it's actually a beastly card.
Yeah. Or you might not.
So well.
What do you think about the deck changes and the deck in general, and if you have some opinions on it, or some of my choices?
Well, I can definitely see how it can work. I've been playing against people who play like a similar build. Not necessarily the same, but they play like the Sea Giants and such, and it can work pretty well. Definitely has some potential. The only problem I have with it, and it's the problem I have with Hunter in general, is that in such a deck you can't really use the hero power of Hunter.
You're right, but that's the problem with Hunter. I think I want to make them change the Hunter ability, because it makes you say, okay, Rush is the only viable option you have if you want to use your hero power accordingly. So yeah, that's just how it is. But it works decently still.
Cool. Well, anyone else wanna punch?
Well, yeah. You removed a lot of the beasts, but you kept Thunder Rhino. Is it still working as well as you hoped?
Yeah, it is actually.
Okay.
Thunder Rhino works with Timberwolf, and it works with Scavenging Hyena.
Timberwolf.
One damage
push.
No, that's not what I mean. Like, it gets extra attack from the Timberwolf, so you can actually charge for free damage. It also works with the Savannah Highmane and Kodo. It's a really strong play to turn 5 Thunder Rhino. kill a little shitty minion. If you're playing against Rush, for example, then the next turn they play something else. They charge you, okay? Then you play Kodo, and you can remove 2 minions with Kodo.
That's true.
Usually. That's really, really strong.
That's
Yep.
true. So it's basically like a dedicated anti-hunter. It's hunter, anti-hunter.
It works really good against Rush, but the thing about it is that you still have the Unleash the Hounds and the Starving Buzzard and stuff, so you can still keep up with control decks more like Druid, for example.
How does it match up against regular hunter decks? I looking at it, I feel like it would have a match.
Saying regular, you mean Rush?
Oh, Rush, yeah.
I mean the really retarded charge deck.
I've not lost a match to that yet, and I've actually met like almost half my games. I've met that, and I've not lost to it yet. It works really well against it. It has some taunts in there, and it's okay. I admit that sometimes you have to be lucky on your animal companions, but I guess that's just life. But it's really strong against that. It works pretty well.
Yep.
That's why I added the Yeti and the Defender of Argus, the Shield Master as well, to get some consistency in the mid game. Because if you look at the deck before, it only had one 4-drop, which was Spellbreakers.
Yeah.
That's
true.
not
Definitely.
so good.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
Evening out the curve.
anyone else have any comments on the deck or
Not really.
overall
It looks good.
consistent hunter deck? Maybe could get still some improvements, perhaps.
Yeah,
Or do you feel like it's polished?
it's never polished, and it will always change according to the metagame. So
Yep. Good answer.
I don't know.
Correct answer.
You will
Alright,
never be
well-
hunted down for that answer.
Let's move on to my amazing deck.
Yeah.
I feel, it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
So,
the
it's up
name?
now. Well, definitely
Explain name.
explain name. So the name is Anti-Osten, which is translated to anti-cheese, which is actually, like, if you're familiar with, I guess, gaming terms of StarCraft, is it mostly in StarCraft that's used?
Every
I
game.
think it is.
Every game.
In general,
most
all
games.
gimmicky.
Well, I know it from StarCraft, but anyway, it's like cheeses are in Hearthstone. I would define them as decks who are like quite gimmicky and annoying to play against, and you feel like when they beat you, it's kind of unfair. In a manner, that's at least how I feel about the term cheese. Like, of course, the deck we're all thinking about when I mention cheese is the Hunter deck, which is annoying as hell. And
Hunter deck is like a 6 pool,
yeah.
basically.
But instead of a 6 pool, it's a 6 mana. So I guess that's quite a good comparison. Anyway, this deck has basically how I made this deck was I went into the search bar and I typed in taunt, and then I basically just clicked all of the little cards that were nice, and I made this deck, which works surprisingly well. You have your standard Ancient Watcher combos, but you finish it off with some Sengens, which are really nice. I really like Sengen currently in this meta, especially against like aggro decks. Like, it can also work against most control decks. It's mostly just a Yeti that has one less attack, but the taunt property just makes it really worthwhile against aggro decks, which is amazing. And then you have you basically have a taunt for every turn if you need it.
And when you don't taunt, you heal.
Yeah, exactly. So that's you can say that's quite nice. And you have a bit of armor gain. You have the claw. I really like the claw in general because you can just toss it out to get 2 armor if you're really in a pinch. Sometimes it can save you. Sometimes it's just a clear, and sometimes you can use it to finish the opponent off. And since I play a really low mana curve, I focus a lot on early game, early drops, early taunts, up to, like, most of your minions are 4 mana or less. And the only really late minions you have are the Ancients, where I play 1 war, because Hunters, like the standard rush deck, doesn't really play many outs to the war, which can really mess them up. And at worst they silence it, or I guess use their hex on it on something, and it's not too bad. It's not a terrible card, and it's not a super card. I might change it for something, but I think it's pretty decent in general, and it's tested okay. One of the interesting choices in the deck, I feel, is that I play 2 Savage Roars, and that's again because it's more of a early game focused deck. Like, you want to build up taunts, but the way you actually want to win is that you want to rush the Hunter deck down before it rushes you down. So if you build up a taunt, it's really easy to put like 2 or 3 minions on the field because they are protected by the taunt, even though they are small, or like it's maybe a net Pagle that's been on the field for a while. And then you can do crazy amounts of damage by just throwing out a Savage Roar and going for face, like when they don't expect it. And yeah, of course it also combos with Force of Nature, but in this deck you'll often feel like you have a lot of minions on the board in general. So you can just toss out a Savage Roar, go for face, easily hit them for between 10 and 15 damage on just a standard turn 4 board. Like turn 5, you can use Savage Roar, deal 10, 15 damage, leave them there until you can finish them off. So it works really nice like that. And it also is a bit more consistent with the Force of Nature once you have 2 Savage Roars. So it helps.
So the big money question is, can you win against something that isn't Rush?
Surprisingly, yes, you can.
The Savage Roar gives you a win.
The Savage Roar, exactly.
Okay.
It works really well against control decks. Like, you can catch them off guard. And all of your minions are surprisingly robust. Like the Earthen Rings, the Harvest Golems, the Defenders buffing them. Like, all of your minions have a lot of HP and are kind of sticky to the board. Especially like the Watchers, if you can silence them, they do tons of damage. To use a League of Legends pun. Anyway, the deck is really, really good against aggro. Like, all sorts of aggro. Warlock aggro, Warrior, Rush, especially Hunter Rush. And it works decently against pretty much all of the decks because Druid is overpowered and they have awesome cards. So
I'm disappointed in the lack of Iron Bark Protectors.
Yeah.
It's a taunt. It's big. It's a freaking tree.
For all needs and purposes, I feel like Ancient of War is better than Iron Bark Protector.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't die to obvious values include that it doesn't die to big game hunters and such, but in general, I feel like it's just better.
It is better. Iron Bark Protector is better.
But Iron Bark Protector has some serious swag to it, so you can't underestimate that, of course, the swag factor.
I want to bring up something I noticed earlier today when I watched the Deck Wars, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those
from
Value Town.
Value Town, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically King of the Hill for Value Town. King of the Hill is this from HearthU. They have 2 people play against each other in a best of 5 or something. And Value Town kind of made the same thing. But yeah, anyways, there was a situation where I saw that the Druid deck played 2 Force of Nature and 1 Savage Roar. And I actually kind of like that because you could use Force of Nature
to clear stuff.
Like a clear without losing a win condition. While you play 2 Savage Roar, so it's kind of the same situation. But often when I play this myself, Savage Roar is more often Savage Roar is dead, where Force of Nature can kind of turn the situation around, like kill something with 4 health and something with 2 health, and then it's good.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming with that, and it's I can say it's been a concern for me when I made the deck. I actually first started with 2 Force of Natures, but with this deck especially because it has so much focus on the early game and you have so many early minions, you usually have like something on the board. Right? It will be if you don't have anything on the board by the time you get to turn 4 or 5, then you're probably losing. And this is not usually the case with Druid decks. Like they're mid-range decks, so they kind of explode around the mid-ranges, where this is more like an aggro / anti-aggro druid deck. And also for the purpose of Savage Draw, you can actually use 2 Savage Draws in the same turn if you need it.
That's true.
So
that's a lot of damage.
for even more burst.
Yeah.
So that's something. You can't really use 2 Force of Natures in the same turn unless you are really lucky with some innervates. And like I guess you can turn 10 Force of Nature, double innervate plus coin, and double Savage Draw, and then you can buy like. But
Yeah, you could double
Force of Nature,
Force of
innovate,
Nature.
double innovate and coin, then you have Savage Draw as well.
Yeah.
that could be.
That will never happen, so don't try it.
Never say never. That could be
that's true,
the new OTK deck that you haven't seen yet. So.
For reals though, they've used the coin for something useful early and take the momentum. But
coin the Pagle.
Coin the Pagle.
I can definitely recommend coining the Pagle.
Unless you're playing in the gosucup, then you will get banned. And
then you will actually lose from coining the Pagle.
Yeah,
one of the only times where you will actually lose from coining Pagle.
Yeah.
So anyway, talked enough about my amazing deck. Let's move over to our lovely Christopher with his even more amazing deck, as he would claim.
Yeah, of course, my decks are always the best.
It's
Obviously.
the same
One would know.
as last week? Or
What?
Is it the same as last week?
Yeah, it's the same. It was showcased last week as well. So
You sure?
I think, yeah,
I don't think it was this version.
No,
I'm
we didn't.
quite sure it was.
I don't think so. Okay, maybe.
Either way, I can go over it quickly. Like the deck resolves around pretty early control. I have both Amani Berserker, especially and probably Earthen Ring Farseer that you don't see often. The Earthen Ring Farseer combos really well both with Injured Blade Master and the Ultranite Soul Priest. And the Amani Berserker is basically to get early board control. If you get the early board control, you can probably push for some damage eventually, and you will finish up with. Like I've tried sitting turn 6 with 2 enemy on 20 health, 2 Holy Fires and 2 Mind Blast in hand, and just starting to shoot him, and he would die eventually before he could burst me. So, yeah, as opposed to most other priests, the deck is focused on pretty early game.
Yeah.
Which is
You can
cool.
definitely see it with it feels like kind of a priest version of the kind of path that I wanted to take with my druid deck as well. Like it's taking kind of a late game-ish deck and then making it completely early game with some burst.
Like in some way you can say it's a priest version of the Pyroblast turn 8.
Yeah.
It's not as consistent because like I have to have Prophet Velen and
well,
and
it's
Mind Blast and
it's pretty consistent when you play it because you always get the cards you need.
Yeah. It's not as focused on getting the opponent to 10 health turn 9, but like, yeah, I can kill them turn 8 and sometimes like turn 11, 12, 13. What the deck really loses to is losing early board control, because then I don't get any damage in and it just kind of falls off because you can't kill through.
So which cards do you really want to see in your starting hand with this deck?
I really want to see.
Like if you could,
if I
could choose 3 cards for your starting hand against any matchup.
Give me 4 on coin, then cleric,
Double cleric.
No, one cleric, 1 powered shield, 1 injured blade master, and 1 earthen ring farseer.
Oh,
I think I think that's the best because you play cleric turn 1, coin the blade master, and play earthen ring farseer and heal it.
And heal the blade master.
Heal the blade
and draw
master.
a card.
Why shield then?
I don't know, because it's
to keep stuff alive.
I just want shield in my opening hand.
It's just good.
It's just good.
Just good.
Otherwise, like you can, if you have a coin again, you can go cleric and turn 2 Amani Berserker plus shield.
Well, shield is pretty insane because you can usually use it to trade early game, and while it's basically a free card.
It just allows you to keep your minions alive to heal them. Like if you have a 2/3 Amani Berserker, it just dies when it trades with like 3/2 monster. But if you give it powered shield, it survives and you can heal it afterwards. And then you can just grind advantage off powered shield because it gives more health and it replaces itself.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just it's the best card in the deck.
I don't know. Making minions survive sounds pretty good to me.
It's still awesome.
But the interaction between Earthring Farsi and Injured Blade Master and Earthring Farsi and Archonized Soul Priest is really sick. Like Earthring Farsi gets fire elemental effect. That's just insane.
So a quick comment on the deck. Maybe talk a bit about why you're not playing Shadowwork Pain, which we usually see in priest decks.
Yeah, I have definitely, after playing it a lot, I have definitely considered putting one in because I wanted for taking the Sentience and the Water Elementals, those kind of big monsters it can take. The original thought of not putting it in was actually that I forgot it, but looking at it afterwards, it kind of makes sense, both because there's not very much space in the deck, but also because I play early game monsters and I really don't want to spend my 2 mana. I'd rather play an Amani Berserker on my turn 2 than I'd play a Shadow with Pain.
Definitely.
And thus the deck focuses more on getting board control than removing the opponent's board. Like I have a late game priest where I play tons of removal pyromancer, wild pyromancer and stuff, just to clean the board all the time and then play for late game. But this deck focuses more on getting board control.
So
Cool.
versus Hunter. Since the only thing I'm seeing all the time is Hunter. Is it good? Is Amani Berserker just insane?
Yeah, it's really good because hunters are retards and don't trade. they just lose at it so hard. Like they play a 2/1 monster, bluegill. You drop. Say I start. They coin bluegill. I play my 2/3. They hit directly. I hit their bluegill and heal my monster, and then I just have a monster. They can't really do anything about it. And then they play another monster. I hit it and heal it again. Eventually, I'll get a field they can't deal with, and I have both Earthring Farsiers, Holy Novas, my own heal, and Holy Fires to keep me alive through everything.
So basically,
the deck has an amazing, despite not having very many taunts, only the Sun Fury Protector, it has an amazing matchup against Rush Hunter.
well, you can say priest in general has a pretty decent matchup because you can basically once you have control, so. You can negate their hero power.
Like in general, you don't play anything until turn 4, like in the normal priest deck, and then you're just dead. So I would say it's quite different between this turn 9 priest and normal priest.
Yeah, and in this priest deck, you basically want to have 7 minions on the board by turn 4 and 5 spells in your hand, and that's.
I think you want that in most decks.
The dream.
What about your mind blasts? How do you play that? I guess you always save them for Velen.
I have in a very few scenarios played them kinda early, but it really depends on the situation. Like if I can see that it will fit into my curve for a kill on like turn 7, I could drop them on turn 4-5 ish.
Well, let me hear you about a specific scenario. So you're on turn 2. The field is clear. You have no other spells you can use than Mind Blast. Do you use it?
And you cannot heal yourself because
you cannot heal yourself.
I have full health. I'd say no. It's really bad for mana curve, I know, but as priest is usually played as a late game deck, people will not expect the Mind Blast, and that is like the biggest factor. To drop turn 9 Prophet Velen Mind Blast catches everyone off guard. I had what was it?
The Warlock, right?
It was a Warlock.
Tap.
Yeah. Warlock life tap from 12 health to 10 health, and I was like, yes, I won because I was turn 9, and it just won the game. If I had played like say the other Mind Blast on turn 2, I don't know if he would have done, but he should not have a life tap to to 10 health because he should know I could play the second Mind Blast with a Prophet Villain, which would kill him, or even with a Holy Fire.
Well, when you
I would agree.
when you say it like that, you make it sound like that you don't really use the Mind Blast until you can actually go for the kill. And by that logic, wouldn't you say that maybe playing only one Mind Blast would be better?
You need to draw it as well. Like, it's not like there's much draw power in here.
What?
Like, the argument for 2 Mind Blasts would be you have to draw it as well.
Yeah, like, Cleric does really well on drawing cards. That's one note.
True.
Ashura Drake does decently as well.
Never mind.
Ashura Drake is amazing. It gives more spell damage to all your shit as well.
Are you sure, Drake?
Yes, I am quite sure. You could argue that 1 Mind Blast is reasonable. I have had situations where it was
you also draw
annoying.
with the shield. So
yeah, true. I have had situations where it was annoying to have 2 Mind Blasts in hand early game, but it's really rare because you mulligan them away, of course.
So you mulligan Mind Blast on the start hand?
Yeah, I don't want it in my starting hand. But I feel like having the 2 Mind Blast allows you to drop 10 damage for 4 mana instead of having to combo it with Velen. Like, you can drop turn 10, you can drop double Mind Blast and Holy Fire for 15 damage. And you can't do that if you don't play the second Mind Blast. And it allows you to set way easier up with Velen.
Another really really funny thing here, I guess that's the whole reason behind playing Earthen Ring Farseer is because of Orchard, right?
Yeah, that and Injured Blade Master.
Yeah, of course. So that's pretty cool that you can actually make free damage. That's kind of sick for a free drop.
Yeah,
to suddenly be able to.
It's kind of a mini fire elemental.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that already. But Earthen Ring Farseer, I usually haven't liked it too much in Priest because it seemed kind of counterintuitive to play heals in a deck that already had a lot of heals. Like, Earthen Ring Farseer was played in decks that didn't have heal, like in Shaman. But it works because it combos really well with some of the cards of the deck.
Right. Last question for this deck.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go into some crazy meta kind of scenario. So you're saying you wouldn't play Mind Blast early because of the surprise factor.
Yeah.
But let's say in some kind of strange universe, a million people go in and watch this video, and then suddenly everyone is playing this deck under ladder. Would you change your strategy? Like, would you be more open to, like, if more people knew about this deck, would you be more open to spamming your Mind Blasts?
I'd probably play a new awesome deck. But yeah, I think you...
Such a hipster.
Yeah, I think you have a legit point there. If people were expecting priests to play Mind Blast, first of all, I don't think the deck would be as good. It would be severely handicapped.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
It fucks up the mulligan of the opponent the most, I think. So.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think, with those words, we will actually reveal the real reason why we bring this deck up again, and it's kind of to hear Christopher's thoughts about his specific paths of deck building for this deck, and how he came upon the idea to create this deck and why he chose the cards he chose, which we'll use to introduce our new deck building session, where Christopher will explain his choices for this deck and we will generally talk about what cards are good in decks in general. Yeah. So if we can move over to the deck building, I don't know if you're.
We want Christopher to like.
Yeah, I can start
how you came to do
behind the priest
deck. Yeah, exactly.
If you want that.
Oh, we want to do that while on the deck still.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, let's talk about how does the deck become so awesome.
The deck started out with me drawing Prophet Villain in gold, and then I was like, I have Prophet Velen in gold. I have to make a priest deck with Prophet Velen, and then it was like two approaches. I could, like, Prophet Velen in itself is kind of a late game card, so you could play with the Sarah and Ragnaros and all the other cards and make a late game deck. But I kind of already had that, so I wanted to make early focus deck, and I knew I like Prophet Velen combos with Mind Blast. If you want to play Mind Blast, you play Prophet Velen as well. And for that matter, I wanted a deck that was able to push damage, and in the perfect scenario, I could drop Prophet Velen and Mind Blast to 9 to win. Right, that's the name of the deck. And then basically, okay, I need some early game cards. Northshire Cleric is really good. Powered Shield is really good. Holy Smite, both for the combo with Prophet Velen and the board clear. Like, it takes Knife Jugglers really nicely. And then Amani Berserker is strong. And then the 3-card combo I have mentioned a lot with Farseer, Blade Master, and Sword Priest.
It's funny how you came to the idea of Amani Berserker. I don't think I would ever.
I have played it before. I actually played it in my late game priest because I was really annoyed by losing board control to rush decks, but it just didn't fit in. In this deck, it fits really well. The two Crazed Alchemists might seem a bit weird because you could say they are intended for late game decks, but if you have an Amani Berserker on the field, as they hit into an Argent Squire, so it becomes a 5/2, you can use Crazed Alchemist on the Amani Berserker to make it a 2/5, and it's not enraged anymore. So you can hit into it again, and it becomes a 5/4. You can do that in like turn 3 if you have the coin on Amani Berserker. That's really strong, that play.
Yep, definitely. So I guess this deck started as all great, amazing decks by drawing an awesome card and
exactly.
and making the deck from that. And with that, I think we are set to move on to our deck building section. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah, let's go. If we can start it up here.
And Christopher's back. Welcome back.
Hello. I don't know.
Mr. Sexy Christopher.
He was there.
Thank you.
Oh, great.
What?
my Hearthstone timed out.
Awesome.
It was open for too long.
You can say you could say it's perfect timing, but you could also say it's quite unfortunate. But let's take it positively.
I'd probably say it's quite unfortunate.
No, let's take it as a positive note and say that we can talk a bit more about absolutely nothing.
It's up.
Nice.
No problem. I have a fast computer.
Yes.
Nice.
Good.
So, Michael, I don't know if what you're doing right now, but can you please guide us through what we're gonna take a look at?
Yeah, I was thinking to start off like how to identify good minions. Like, why do you put in an Amani Berserker? Like, stuff like that. It's like, let's say, take a look at, for example, the Yeti. Like, why is the Yeti so popular? Why is it so good?
Yeah, well, you could say what I caught from Christopher is that one of the ways he found out that he needed an Amani Berserker was that he looked at his deck and he was like, well, I need some early game drops. And then you take a look at the available early game drops and you ask yourself, which card has the best synergy and the best overall purpose for the deck I'm trying to create? And for that, you could say Amani Berserker, while synergizing really well with the priest cards and the priest hero power, also is a really solid card in general and played in many decks.
Yeah.
So that's basically how you find.
And like it's like a meta thing. Also against all these Hunters decks where you would rather have a 2/3 than a 3/2.
Yeah.
Previously, you sometimes would rather have a 3/2 than a 2/3.
You saw very many fairy dragons a while back but you don't see very many of those anymore.
It was when Mage was popular. Mage was really popular. The Fairy Dragon was a go-to card for most aggro, I'd say, or early game intensive decks, because Mage could not deal with it basically until really late in the game, which was nice because it could always poke for damage, and it will always bring you ahead.
Exactly.
And this is also kind of the reasoning why I choose to play Senjin Shieldmaster instead of Yeti currently. It's also kind of a meta choice for your 4-drop, and I think most people still play Yeti, and I think that's a shame. I think the Senjin can straight up battle the Yeti. It can hit it over 2 turns, and the Yeti can hit the Senjin over 2 turns.
Yeah, but Yeti can get help from a druid ability or something.
Yeah, the only difference is that Yeti can actually kill it with a hero power.
Yeah.
Which can sometimes be a problem. I think it's mostly a problem if you play the Senjin into the Yeti. Like if you go first and you have turn 4, you drop the Senjin, and they drop the Yeti into the Senjin, then it's usually not that big of a problem because you can usually deal with it somehow else.
Yeah, and the reason Senjin is the reason Senjin is actually a good taunt is because of its stats distribution. Usually, now we're going to talk about why Chillwind Yeti was also considered good. Usually, you have your mana cost, and then you multiply it by 2 and add 1 extra, and then you have your stats for a neutral card without any abilities usually. Like Yeti is 4-drop, and then you get like 8 plus 1 stats. That's 9 stats in general.
Well, I'd say that's a good card.
Yeah, that's.
I'd say the standard is for like a 2-drop to have 2/2, or maybe not 2-drop, but a 3-drop has 3/3 and 4-drop has 4/4.
Then they have an effect.
Actually, it's different. Like if you click on, for example, Mage, and then you go to the Kirin Thor guy, he has a 4/3 for free. So it's in general it's the same.
But he's also a class-specific card. So class-specific cards usually have more.
But in general, even the bad 1-drops, like let's say Leper Gnome, it's 2/1 for 1, so it's 1 times 2 plus 1.
Leper Gnome is a bad 1-drop?
No, but in general, like all the stat distribution works the way where you get the mana cost times 2 plus 1 up until a certain point, up till the mana 4 mana. What's some Danish words here? Up to the 4 mana cost, where it starts diminishing. Like after 4-drops, the 5-drops, they start losing stats.
Well, the Boulder Fist Orca is it keeps the pattern.
Yeah, that's true. Described. Boulder Fist is good for that reason as well.
Good. Another note I think is important.
But like, could look at Core for example.
Yeah, Core is bad.
Core is terrible.
Yeah, especially because of the stat distribution. Like it has. The problem is with Core it can die to 4-drops. Like it has so little health. If it had been a 5/9, it had been a lot better.
Yeah, but it would still miss 1 stat.
Yeah,
right, with the math. So.
I think the most interesting, like in my monster spellbook thingy, I have Chillwind Yeti right next to Ancient Brewmaster, and they have exactly the same stats. They're just flipped from attack to health. Ancient Brewmaster even have a situational effect, which can sometimes be bad, but in general, it can be useful. But you see Chillwind Yeti being played way more than Ancient Brewmaster simply because it has 5 health and 4 attack, and not the other way around.
And why is that good, Chris?
That is good because generally you want to have big monsters be able to trade with a lot of small monsters. Like if you have a 6/4 monster or 5/4 Ancient Brewmaster, right? You can trade into it with 2 1-drops. 2 Leper Gnomes kills it. and the one extra attack doesn't really do anything unless you want to trade with something that's stronger. But often you don't fight anything that's stronger. Like, okay, you
Sentient
can.
Shield Master.
It's really good against Shield Master, but that's like the one thing.
Yeah.
I guess there are a few examples, but in general, having the one health extra makes a huge difference because it requires more stuff from the opponent to kill it, and in most situations, the one attack from 4 to 5 won't matter a lot.
I think the point is that once you get over the 4 mana, you usually don't meet that many big monsters that are just big on stats. Like the bigger the monsters after around 4 mana is usually like on 5 mana you play monsters like a Shortdrake that either have effects and lower stats that are really good, or you would meet like big legendaries like Ragnaros, Visera, around 9 mana, but those cards usually use spells to deal with. You don't really trade it with your minions.
Yeah, that's true.
So around the 4 mana, that's kind of where the like most decks have a cap on big minions that are not like legendary game
I think
changers.
I agree with you on like all the 5 mana have some kind of stuff going on for them, like Spiteful Smith and Stranglethorn Tiger.
Except the amazing Silverhand Knight.
Yeah, Silverhand Knight is insane.
Yeah, and the Majestic Venture Co.
Oh, that's actually an awesome card.
But like if you look at, for example, Fen Creeper, he only get 1 stat, and the same for Booty Bay. So those 2 cards are so bad compared to Sentient.
Yeah,
well, I wouldn't say
because of only because of stats.
Well, I personally I wouldn't call Fen Creeper bad. I think Fen Creeper is a decent card. Like it's not terrible. Like it has its place, and it's a fairly decent taunt just because of it's basically it's a Senjin that's 1 mana more expensive, and it doesn't really do much more. But Senjin is so good that Fen Creeper is also quite decent. I feel like at least.
and that's just the example. You would never play Fen Creeper in a deck if you don't already play Senjin.
Exactly. Exactly. But if you do already have 2 Senjins, you could consider Fen Creepers if you want to go really taunt heavy.
As long as we agree that Booty Bay Bodyguard is really bad, then I'm.
Booty.
The problem with Booty Bay Bodyguard is that it's a taunt, so it's intended to take a lot of hits, and then it has 4 health for 5 mana, and the 5 attack is just pointless.
It's the same concept with the Lord of the Arena. It's not really a lot of anything.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because Lord of the Arena is one of those cards where everyone who just started the game, they look at it and they think, this card is amazing.
Well, I would argue it's mostly because of its cool artwork and cool name, like Lord of the Arena, and he has a big ass shield, and then
you pick it in Arena because you think it's
and you think you will become Lord of the Arena, and then you go 0-3, and then you never play Arena again.
One card I'd like to mention is the Mogushan Warden, because it misses 1 stat, but it has taunt to make up for the 1 missing stat in Michael's pattern, but it fits quite well into this description of having a lot of health and not so much attack. The one problem is that 1 attack is maybe a little too low, but it does quite well. It does really well against a lot of the rush decks, especially the Hunter deck, and if you are able to buff it with Defender of Argus, if you are able to give it 1 more attack, it is really, really good.
Definitely. It's one of those cards that are quite like it's not a standalone minion per se. It's more of a combo minion, but if you can get it to actually have 2 attack, it can be quite amazing because it can trade with even more than the Yeti can. Like it can clean up the early game.
Yeah, it can.
Basically.
Yeah. But the whole like the concept of you want more health than attack, you still want the 2 stats to be fairly close to each other.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get this motion problem where you have to hit something 2 times just to deal it 2 damage, and then the thing you hit 2 times dealt you 4 damage 2 times, and then it like what's the point? Then you die anyway with the high health amount.
Definitely. And the two damage, like the 2 attack point, is really important in Hearthstone because most of the early game minions have 2 defense, and like most 2 and most 3 drops, I feel have 2 defense. So, well, not most, but you get the point. 2 damage is usually pretty good, and 3 damage is really, really good for cleaning up early game. Everything above 3 damage is usually overkill, but it can be really useful in some scenarios.
Yeah, if you have more than 3 damage, you need health that is higher than your attack.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to stay on the board for a little while.
Like the only thing Senjin can't really clean up is that it's not that amazing at trading with cards like Gnomish Inventor and Dark Iron Dwarf and
the 4 health minions.
Yeah, buffed minions with Argus, buffed 3 drops like a 3/4.
Does better there.
Yeah, that's where Yeti does better. But those cards have fallen out of favor, I feel, which makes the Senjin quite good.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, where are we with the deck building?
Well,
Michael, if you can guide us.
I'm just like shuffling around the common cards. No, the basic neutral. That's what they're called. Neutral cards.
Well, do you have any specific cards that you want to talk about before we move on to the next section of deck building?
I think I would like to mention shortly in the whole how to recognize good minions that usually class-specific cards are just straight up better.
Yep.
Like usually, sometimes there are bad cards like Soul of the Forest, but for example,
well, Soul of the Forest isn't necessarily bad, Michael. It can be used in some decks.
Much hate.
Kidnapper.
I think it's actually used in the token druid deck.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it can be decent. Like if you hit 3 minions with it, it's really good. If you hit 2 minions with it, it's fair. So everything about 2 minions is really good.
Yeah, but
it's situational.
The best example of this whole like class minions are better is usually like the 1-drops, where you get 4 stats for 1 mana, like Mana Wyrm, for example, or
the
Northshire Cleric, and then you get an amazing effect at the same time.
Yep, definitely.
So yeah, you should definitely look for these. Like look for the
pearls.
Yeah, look for the cards like Argent Protector. You miss 1 stat, but then you make 1 dude invisible for a turn or something. So
some of the cards I feel like specific cards I feel have the most potential is the Mage, Kirin Tor Mage, and
just to specify, when we talk about card-specific cards in this scenario, we talk about the minions. And specifically the minion stats.
Minions, yeah, exactly.
Because, like if you look at Kirin Tor Mage, it has the correct stats. It has 7 stats for 3 mana, and it has an incredible effect. The only problem with the combo of Ethereal Arcanist and Kirin Tor Mage, or to build a deck around it, is that the secrets they're simply not good enough.
They're trashy.
So
basically, the only mage spell that has been played like regularly is the Ice Block, but that was in the OTK.
I feel like you can play Mirror Entity to some use, but in general, they're
to be fair,
situational, I guess.
To be fair, most of the Mage Secret actually do give you 1-for-1, which isn't too bad. Like it's the least that you would expect from a card. So by that definition, you would call it. I guess you would call it average.
Yeah, but if we look at, for example, Ice Barrier, it's just a Nature's Touch. That's a trap.
Yeah, but that's one of those that you don't really play, except you are really in need of help.
The problem is, like, say Vaporize is a 1-for-1, right? But you can't choose what you kill with it, and that's really awful.
Definitely the problem with
like
the
if the opponent reads that it's a Vaporize, they will hit it with a Luthor, and you will just look stupid.
But that's the problem. I feel like that's more of an issue with secrets in general.
Yeah.
Is that you
I
kind
guess.
of YOLO them. Like you play them and you hope that the opponent
It's stupid.
is stupid.
There's not a huge enough variety in traps. Like if there was 20 different secrets for each of the secret classes, it would be way more difficult to
Definitely.
calculate which one was used.
Yeah, because right now it's very easy to test. Like
Yeah,
you
like if you
attack
use
with
a
a
spell,
weak
then
minion.
there are
Oh
3
well,
left.
it's not vaporized. Then it's probably like
Well,
counter spell,
basically-
and then you play the coin, and they counter the coin, and they like it's amazing for you.
Basically, if you play Novice Engineer, you can counter every single of the mage secrets. Like, play Novice Engineer, if it's Mirror Entity, they get a 1/1. And if it's Vaporize, they kill your 1/1. So,
Yeah.
But
But
if it's
anyways,
counter spell. Yeah.
no, Counterspell, I've actually seen not to kid, I have seen Counterspell in quite a few mage decks recently on the ladder.
It's not the worst trap in the
Like just one Counterspell, it can sometimes mess you up greatly, and
Really?
sometimes it can just hit your rock bitter weapon, and then they look sad.
But don't we agree that it's more like a mind games thing?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
you're so used to ice block, so it's just like, oh, I'll play normally, and then counterspell. Fuck me.
Yeah, it is.
That I think.
I think the point about counterspell is that the opponent says, yeah, exactly. You miss the point that it's counterspell. So you set up, and it's like, I have with Prophet Villain and Mind Blast, I have game this turn. Then I play Prophet Villain, and I use Mind Blast, and I just get counterspell, and they clean Prophet Villain, and I just lose because I lose my win condition.
And then you play Secret Mage,
And
so
then you
you
play-
hit him for 7 next turn, and you win. So it's fine.
I think the best
the
case
thing
for
is, if he
Oh,
have
go
a
ahead, Michael.
secret, like in that situation, if he had a secret, and you had game with Mind Blast, would you really just like throw it at him? You would think it would
no,
be
probably.
the frost.
It was an example
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
that's
how it can
that's
screw you over.
I
Because
feel
it
like that's the
destroys your setup.
point with the secrets is that the best case for the secrets is when you don't have a variety of plays to make. Like when you have one play that you can either like if they let's say you play against a mage, turn 3 they put down a secret, then you have your turn 4, and you can either choose to like do nothing like hero power, or you can play Yeti. Like what are you gonna choose? Like if you like worst case you play nothing, and then it turns out to be like something like a counterspell or ice block, and you're really screwed. And best case it's like well you play a Yeti and then they get a Yeti as well. So sometimes they can really mess you up if you don't have a variety of things you can do on a turn, I feel like.
So, should we move on?
Yeah, we can.
Definitely. Let's move on to I believe we are actually going to make a paladin deck.
Yeah.
Am
because,
I
we never
correct?
see Paladin.
Just
Yeah, you never see paladin in general.
just nothing too gimmicky here, I guess. We'll just look at how to make a strong deck in general, right?
Like a
Yeah.
solid paladin deck without I
Or
think
should
we're
we can
gonna
also have a specific theme and try to find synergy and all if you want to.
Yeah, usually you can put in strong cards, but you won't win unless you have like a little bit of synergy.
Yeah, and also we think we have to choose if we want to make it late, mid, or early game based.
I can say right away that I do not own the legendary, so we should probably not make it too much of a late deck.
Well, do we want to take a shot at creating a aggro paladin deck, like our version of an aggro paladin deck?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe most of us don't really have an idea how it looks like. At least I don't. Everyone except Henrik, I think, doesn't
Yeah.
really know.
we made it together though, so you should.
Like
Yeah.
I have an idea how I build it, I think, but I'm not quite certain. No. We can try. I like that idea.
Like aggro or mid.
Let's
I think
go
I like
for aggro.
trying and making an aggro deck.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
So okay, I guess first off, we look at the class specific.
Yeah, start with that.
like
yeah.
the must-haves.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's look at it. So what? Okay, so what do we know about aggro? You spam your minions, right? So
Yeah.
what you want here, that means you empty your hand. So divine favor will always give you value, for example.
Yeah, true.
You need divine favor.
So divine favor is a must.
What
I think
about
you-
Blessing
both
of
those.
Wisdom? Like if you have
let's
some dude in
start
charge.
let's start from the first page, like from
Yeah.
the 1 drops and then 2 drops and
And then look at them. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's Light's Justice. You don't want to play that, for example.
Why? Why?
Why?
Okay.
It does 4 damage for 1 mana.
Yeah, it's it's 1 attack, and it's in this case it takes the weapon slot from the Sword of Justice or the True Silver that you want to play later. That's one thing, and you want to do something else on your first turn than play a weapon here, because you don't want to clear the field anyway if you play aggro, not necessarily at least. And that's what you want a Last Justice for, I guess. Clearing the field. It's not just one damage.
So I guess Last
What,
Justice is a no-go.
a no-go. What about like the Blessing of Might? If it's a rush deck, if you
See, that's
have a charge, it's like, hey, 3 extra damage for 1 mana.
Yeah. Well, personally, I kind of like Blessing of Might in a Paladin deck, in Paladin aggro, because it's basically, well, to boil it down, it's 3 damage for 1 mana, which I feel is really good. Like, it's 3 times the...
Yeah, then when they kill it, they have to sacrifice.
Exactly, like they have to either sack a minion or like use a spell or something, which they have to basically deal with it. And what's especially funny about Blessing of Might is that it actually stays on the minion past the first turn, and that's something people don't remember. So if you play like an Argent Squire, and then you give a Blessing of Might, they have to go through the Divine Shield of a 4/1. Like they have to sack damage and a minion on the 4/1, and then they still have to kill it. Like usually get 2 hits with it, and that's like 8 damage for 2 cards or 2 mana.
Yeah, but the problem is if you want to play this, and we are making a deck for the ladder here, so we want to make it kind of viable for everything. So if you play against a mage, for example, and you use Blessing of Might on a Silverhand recruit, then it's just a wasted card basically.
Well, you still get the 3 damage for 1 mana.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
I
maybe
would
you
say
want
just
to
put
Might?
1 in. Yeah, put 1 in.
1
Blessing
blessing.
of Wisdom.
We could
0,
actually,
1, 2.
yeah. What?
0, 1, or 2 Blessing of Wisdom. What do people say?
It doesn't help. With
Blessing of
pushing
Wisdom
damage.
it's not good card. I don't think
I
so.
don't know.
Oh,
I actually think it has a lot of
okay,
potential, but
it's
yeah.
okay. But what I think is you want to use your mana otherwise. I don't know.
Yeah.
The first reach of 4 turns, you really want to make minions.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing about
it's not a rush deck.
Yeah, the thing about an aggro deck is that you want to be really efficient with your mana and put pressure on the board, and Blessing of Wisdom does the opposite, basically.
Yeah, I guess. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
What about Aqua and I?
0, right?
Like you could hit something with a weapon,
Yeah,
and then like a
True.
redirect 20 but redirect like 5 damage or something from a Yeti or
Yeah,
something.
that's true.
I've seen great uses of Eye for Eye, actually. It's kind of a fun card. It can do quite a lot of damage, and people don't expect it. It's the thing with the secrets, again, that people don't expect the Eye for Eye.
The
So
only problem is you can die. Like,
I think you actually you deal the damage before you take it.
you sure?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
don't think.
I don't think so, but I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
think so either.
Do we want to play one?
Yeah,
One-
we put
one
in
of-
1 in also because I have a shiny version
Let's
Oh,
put in
nice.
1 for funsies.
for fancies.
But it's okay.
Then Hand of Protection, do we agree that is a control card? Or
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
bad
that's
in
bad.
general?
Yeah, don't play it.
Away.
Not in this, at
Humility as well is a very defensive card, so we don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Noble
Noble
Sacrifice?
Sacrifice? No. It's also...
Like, Noble Sacrifice could protect...
Could play one off.
Yeah, you can throw down like a charge dude hit, and then throw down a Noble Sacrifice, and when they try to trade, Noble Sacrifice eat it, and then you hit for face. But at the same time, it could be another charge dude, so I guess.
Well, personally, I like Noble Sacrifice just for the secret diversity, and I definitely like. Generally, I feel like it's a good card against anything, but druids and rogues that can actually just hit with hero power.
Yeah.
So, but generally, I feel like it's a decent card. And I would put 1 in personally.
Yeah. The thing, like a short comment for Eye for an Eye. Eye for an Eye in general is a shitty card, but it helps you to push damage if you have some weapons. So, like you can use Eye for an Eye to push a lot of damage versus those.
So let's move swiftly on to Redemption and Repentance. 2 cards I'll put in the same category.
Not fast enough.
We can agree it's not the direction we want to take with the deck. Yeah.
Yeah. Agree.
Like Redemption, usually you can use it with something like if you have something with charge or a death rattle and you trade it, then you can use this. But we don't want to trade; we want to hit face.
Yep. So moving on to Equality.
Yep.
Is it a good card?
It's definitely a good card.
Yeah, you have to play
insane.
it. We have to play this in order to get through taunts and all that.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, and
It's the same.
2 of? One of 2 of? 2 of, I guess.
2 of them, yeah.
I would never play. I would go as far to say I would never ever make a Paladin deck without 2 Equality.
Well,
the card is just too good. Like
okay, fair enough. 2 in it.
Well,
if you look at how much damage you can make with that, it's just sick.
Yep.
It's just if the opponent druid, for example, has a Druid of the Claw in taunt mode, and you play Equality, that's 5 damage for 2 mana basically, which is pretty sick if you compare to a Fireball that makes 6 for.
Well, Equality cannot hit face though.
Equality cannot hit face.
Imagine if it could.
I will make a health one.
2-1. Yes, I like it.
Yes, but Holy Light, we agree it's health.
A late game card. Yeah.
It's a good card in this deck.
Argent Protector, however, I feel
2
is
of.
pretty good.
Go.
Yeah.
Argent Protector is so good with the Leper Gnome, for example, especially and Fairy Dragons. If we are putting those in, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess both.
Argent Protector is in general a really good card.
And we're going to play Knife Juggler as well, so
I
it's
assume
also pretty sick with that.
Sort of
But
justice.
we'll get to that later.
Sword of
What?
Justice.
Sword of
Personally-
Justice
I would
is
play
really
one.
good.
I would play one Sword of Justice.
Yeah, me too.
because, but we do not want to play 2 because we want
We
more.
simply
room for-
don't want to draw too many spells early game because of the thing we talked about before, that it's very minion focused.
Yeah.
And Sword of Justice is really good, again, because it can sometimes deal the 1 more damage that you need to either trade or clear something even. So it's quite nice. Divine
What
Favor.
about Divine Favor?
2 of.
Like I
Divine
only
Favor.
have one.
I like.
Two.
two Divine Favor because we need to spam and yeah.
I think I like 2 Divine Favor. Yeah.
Definitely.
Divine Favor is going to basically run this deck.
So basically, I shouldn't play this deck since I only have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can put in a substitute.
You
Put
can
in a Holy
easily-
Light.
Go with 1. We try with whatever he has. We'd make the best deck.
Okay.
with what he has.
What
Yeah,
about Elder Peacekeeper?
2 of.
I would play
I believe.
2.
Well-
Two of those. Yeah, no, what it does for you is, first of all, it helps you get through a big taunt, for example. Also, it makes sure that, for example, you have Fairy Dragons and Knife Jugglers, and we'll get those. So it makes sure that the opponent cannot kill those. So you get 1 extra turn of damage in. As well as it's a free for 3 mana, so it's a good drop in itself.
Yeah.
Yep.
It plays itself, and it makes sure that it cannot be killed next round, which I think is pretty nice.
Great.
So Aldor is an amazing card. That's it. Play it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
follow
it's-
the rules.
Follow
the
the
rules.
fucking
Must do.
rules.
So True Silver Champion is just an
Just-
OP.
just
2 of. Best
Just
card.
add- just
Yeah,
add 2.
it's OP. It's 4 damage 2 times. Rush deck, it's 8 damage for 4 mana. So
And it heals you for 2. Like, if it wasn't enough with the 2 minion clear, it actually heals you as well, which is...
that is why it is good. Otherwise, I
It
guess,
would be playable.
yeah.
I would still play it without the
as well.
heal.
The heal makes you survive, but in rush it doesn't matter.
And remember,
much.
we need those in here. Otherwise, it would be completely brain dead to play the eye for an eye in here.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
That's true.
But then it's 4 damage we miss. I guess I would rather play Eye for an Eye with the Sword of Justice, but yeah, I guess.
Of course.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
Blessing of Kings.
if you hit a rack, for example,
we could play Blessing of Kings actually.
I've seen Blessing of Kings in this deck, actually, and it's had a mixed success. I feel like it's actually a decent card, just
don't
because you play so many early game minions.
Yeah.
I don't
you-
think we want it because it's 4 mana, and I feel like we need. Yeah.
It's 4 mana for 4/4 of stats, which I guess isn't too good actually.
Yeah.
I know that, and also it makes sure
think
that you need a minion on the field to do this.
The point is, if you have a minion in the field, you give the 4/4 stats with charge, because you put it on a minion that can already attack.
Yep.
I just feel like it's pretty heavy cost for a spell in.
Yeah, true.
I don't like it. However, we need 2 consecration.
Yeah, definitely.
We do need two consecration.
It do really have to explain why. It does 2 damage
Too much
to everything,
damage to the face, yeah.
and to the face,
And the
also
quality.
it works well with the quality. Yeah.
So
that's good.
What
Hammer
about
of
Hammer?
Wrath, 1, 2, 0.
I like 1 Hammer of Wrath. It's 3 damage, and the idea here is that you can also smack those to the face if you want to. That's 10% of your opponent's life.
1 or 0 actually,
You don't want
because
to play
It's
2 for sure.
expensive though for damage.
the card is expensive, and as a rush deck, you prioritize board control over card advantage, because you will get your cards from Divine Favor.
Yeah.
And Hammer of Wrath is like 3 damage to one thing compared to Consecration, 2 damage to everything.
Yeah. So definitely 1 Hammer of Wrath.
I think
We agree?
one I can agree
Not
with that.
necessarily definitely, but yeah, we could agree.
Well, just for the diversity, the thing I spoke about before, that you can play different things on different turns.
Yeah.
I feel like Hammer of Wrath is it's a decent fill-in.
Yeah, true.
So,
we got some very expensive cards coming up. Blessed Champion, which is just bad, right?
It's a bad blessing of kings in my opinion. In a rush deck, like.
Yeah, also just in general.
Yeah, Holy Wrath, no.
Holy Wrath, no.
Not in a rush deck, no. We have too many.
We need
Well,
giants for this.
On a Molten Giant, but no.
If your mana curve is as low as ours, then Holy Wrath is just terrible.
Just bad Hammer of Wrath, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we can get 1 damage. We should definitely play this above a Hammer of Wrath.
However, Avenging Wrath, do you have 2 of those?
No.
Okay. Do you have any of those?
Well, it seems like this was a bad idea.
Avenging Wrath is just like
insane.
It's your finisher, kinda.
Yeah, but also removal with a quality.
Yeah.
So it's just a sick card.
Quality, it's sick.
Yeah.
Personally, I would play 2, but if we don't have it, it's okay. But if you have it, definitely play 2.
Yeah, definitely.
I know you don't have Tyrion, Michael, and I actually have an aggro paladin deck, not especially like this, more mid-range. But I play Tyrion in there, and even though it's kind of rushy, Tyrion is still great, because he gives you the sword usually.
Yeah.
And that's like a lot of damage. It doesn't even matter if he dies, because usually he will die. If he gets there, okay, you still win.
So just a quick last card to pick up from the Paladin cards, Lay on Hands. Would it be good or bad in this deck? I know there's some mixed opinions about this card.
Bad.
I don't like it. No.
It's
too
I
late.
want Divine Favor to run it instead.
You want
what this
to win
does
before
is
turn
that
8.
if you have to use this in turn 8, then you can't do anything else in turn 8. And if you can't do anything in turn 8 with a rush deck in the first place, you're already dead.
You're screwed. Yeah.
That's screwed.
Alright, so no Lay on Hands.
Yep.
One note. Since we are missing, for instance, the Avenging Wrath, do you think we will find space for, say, 1 Blessing of Kings?
We'll see. Maybe
we
towards
might.
the end.
Okay, we can go back to that later.
Yeah.
Should we go to the...
Wisp and Angry Chicken are just bad.
Abusive Sergeant is in between?
Well,
Yes,
I feel like...
Oh,
sorry.
I don't even own Abusive Sergeant.
Sorry.
Okay.
Good job,
That is
Mike.
a problem, though. But even though you did, I don't think we want to play him.
No.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Like it's
really great with the charge minions, but I don't feel like we are going to play charge minions, are we?
Oh, you could also use it for trading, but
yeah,
I'm not sure we'll do so much of that. Anyway,
I like Argent Squire more in this, though.
Yeah,
I just want to say that I don't think we should go through every single neutral minion.
No.
So we'll just say they're straight out bad, and we'll just
let's start with asking. Let's start with finding out how many cards are we actually missing.
We are missing 15, so there's a lot to go. We need some early minions with damage.
What I suggest is Argent Squire, because it's sick with Sword of Justice.
2 Argent Squire, yeah.
Yeah, and then we take a look, and that is like Murlocs and bad cards. So we don't need that.
Well, let's. I know we didn't. Yeah. I know we didn't talk about this, but how about I throw out some cards and you tell me what you think about them?
Okay.
Sure.
We can do like that.
to get a bit of flow. So let's start with Argent Squire.
Do it. It's good.
It's good. Like if you put Blessing of Might on it, it's 4 damage to the face, and he has to do something about it, like hit it 2 times, and like.
And in general, it has good synergy with this deck because it works with quality. It works with Sword of Justice. It works with Knife Juggler as well. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, play it.
Cool. So let's keep it a bit short, shall we, boys?
So Bloodsail Corsair. What do we know?
So anyway, just a quick note. I will just focus on throwing out the cards that are usually seen in these types of decks, and perhaps a bit of personal opinion choices, I guess. So moving on from that, Lebanon.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
4
Lebanon
damage
is great. It's 4 damage, like no matter what, and it works well with Argent Protector. It's so frustrating to be against that Divine Shielded Lebanon. Like it's just there feeling icky. And
like
you can't really stop it from feeling icky.
Lebanon is a definition of a rush deck, kinda.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's so sick with the Sword of Justice. Like a 3/2 Lebanon. That's more dangerous than it sounds for sure.
Cool. Well, a bit of an interesting choice. How about Secret Keeper?
Yeah, I was thinking about that card as well, but we only have 2 secrets.
We don't play enough secrets.
Okay. So cool. Moving on. Worgen Infiltrator.
I actually feel like you skipped the card.
Yeah, I feel like we should
South
talk
Sea
about South Sea Deckhand.
What?
He
doesn't have it.
He's a charging 2/1, and he's really great with.
Sure. I guess talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a Paladin deck once. It was like there was another one. It was in the beginning, playing like 2 Sword of Justice and 2 South Sea Deckhands. So fun to play South Sea Deckhands with a Sword of Justice.
But do you feel like? Do you feel like we only have 3 weapons? So do you feel like playing it would be a bit of a risk? Perhaps.
It's still a 2/1.
It's okay. It's a 2/1 drop at 1 mana. It's okay.
But 2/1 isn't that good.
No, that's like standard. But without effect, it's not good. I know.
So
it's not a card I'm necessarily playing here, but I feel it's just worth mentioning.
Yeah.
So 0, 1, or 2. How do you feel?
I think 0.
Yeah, probably.
0, but you can definitely make a more weapon-based. I think in my deck I even played Light's Justice, which was kind of
Light's Justice.
Sometimes you can coin Light's Justice and a South Sea deck, and it's combo.
3 damage on turn 1, dude. 3
damage. That's sick.
That's unrivaled damage on turn 1, actually.
Unrivaled.
It is like
unrivaled damage.
Yeah.
Okay, can you do more damage on
lightning bolts?
I guess lightning bolts, but that's 3. So
but that overloads you. So yeah.
Coin lightning bolts.
Okay.
But you lose a card on that. You don't really lose a card.
Yeah.
Guys.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on to the young Dragonhawk. The Worgen Infiltrator.
Worgen Infiltrator.
Okay.
I don't like it.
I don't like it here as well. I don't
like it can sit in the shadow and then Blessing of Might. Amazing.
Yeah, either that or Sword of Justice or.
You have to consider again the swag factor. It's a really cool card, don't you think?
It looks cool.
Okay, if we have this card and we draw it on turn 5, would you really like that? Then it just sits there. Okay, fine. You cannot do anything with it at all, and it cannot trade with anything at that point. It's just sitting there, being a Worgen, doing nothing.
It's just sitting there, being.
Yeah,
Worgen.
I'm on 0 as well. I don't like it.
I'm not a fan. It works well.
Let's move on to Young Priestess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not in this deck, perhaps.
I kind of like it.
I actually like it. I really feel like it's an early game defining card. If you get it out on turn 1 with any other monster, you put the opponent under so much pressure. If he doesn't have an out.
But do you play enough 1-drops in this deck?
You only have Lebanon.
Don't you think it's more of a Warlock card?
Yeah.
It definitely is a Warlock card. And
I don't think it will work
I
here.
think we need more 2-drops in general for this deck.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
fair enough.
Moving on to the 2-drops. Maybe one of the most played ones, the Swampoos.
I don't think we want that.
I think we want one.
If they play weapons, they are taking the damage to the face anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
And a money berserker.
I think the argument for the 2-drops would be we need something with high attack value and something with like some useful effect at the same time.
Or at least a card that can contain itself on the field. Stay there till next turn and attack.
Yep. So the berserker.
The berserker, I don't think so. We have no way of damaging it ourselves. So.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Doesn't have much synergy with the deck. I feel like
we want to hit face and not minions.
Yep. Yeah. So moving on, Bloodsail Raider.
That's a little. It's a little bit more interesting since it can be buffed by True Silver, but that's a little late.
I feel like the argumentation for the Bloodsail would be the same for the South Sea deckhand, that perhaps we don't play quite enough weapons to make it consistent.
Yeah, because you want other cards than this one on your 2-drop normally.
Yeah.
There's so many other good cards, and yeah.
I feel like I think I like Bloodsail Raider actually, because
it's not bad at all. But
we need some 2-drops, and it has like good stats. And if you it's like the one early drop that you actually want to drop on like turn 5 when you have the sword down.
Oh well, there's a lot of more 2-drops to come. So fear not, we will still make them.
I guess
I guess we can return to it.
I guess. Okay, fair enough.
So Bluegill.
He does the same damage as Bloodsail Raider, but right away.
Yeah, and I don't think I like it in this deck.
Well,
I feel like it's I don't know. It's fine, but it's I don't know. Can't really argue it. I just feel like maybe it's not that beefy. Like you can sometimes struggle to actually keep your field with Paladin. You don't have anything that can just remove something from the field instantly.
Yeah.
We don't want to play this like a hunt.
Either.
Yeah. We don't want this to be like a hunter deck that just smashes face, because we cannot do that. We cannot keep that tempo in a Paladin deck, I feel.
Cool. Well, moving on swiftly to Captain's Parrot. Henrik, how do you feel about that card?
Squawk! No, thank you.
Moving swiftly on from that terrible joke. The Dogge, Direwolf Alpha.
I don't know. I don't like it here.
You need to build up a field.
Yeah, and I don't feel like...
I think you need more 1-drops to make it.
Yeah, probably.
It's good in the Warlock deck, I believe. I've seen some of the really good players play it in there. But I don't feel like it's for this.
Yeah.
Well, so
I would rather have Bloodsail over the Direwolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree on that.
Guess that's decent, I guess, argumentation.
However,
anyway.
The little froggy fellow with the wings sitting on a mushroom, we want 2 of those.
Froggy fellow?
It looks like a frog, doesn't it? The fairy dragon.
Do you mean the dragon?
The fairy dragon. So
it looks like a frog.
Well,
it's not a frog, it's a fairy, guys. Guys, don't you believe in fairies?
Oh.
Well,
no.
Okay, so why I like this? Almost all of the times it stays on the field till turn 3 and it can attack. And if you have a divine shield on that fellow, it's a pain in the butt. Because how would you want to get rid of it if it has divine shield? You have to suicide something into it twice.
Yeah.
Or AoE it down. And as well, if you have that one with the Sword of Justice, it sounds just sick.
This card is so strong because there's no easy way to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's Lightning Bolt and Wrath, but yeah.
But you cannot use those.
You can't use that on Fairy Dragon.
So you have to Rock Biter, and then you take the free damage anyways.
Yeah.
So,
I remember playing a game with a Fairy Dragon, and it made just by itself it made 15 damage during that game because just couldn't remove that shit. So
that's quite good for a dragon.
Yeah.
For a frog sitting on a shroom, that is. Yeah. Anyway.
2 off, go.
1, 2, 0.
2.
Cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Moving on to the put an apple on your head.
2.
No, really, put an apple on. So this is we talked about value earlier. This card is so
value
good.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly. It has the stats you need, and then an amazing effect that is good for you at this just so good.
And it has to be mentioned that it's also sick with the quality later in the game. So
that's true.
Kills random stuff.
So
quite a good point.
Yeah.
So, how do we feel about the 2-drops? Do we need more?
Right now we have like
We need more.
a 7 1 drops, 8 2 drops.
I don't think we need any more 2
Three
drops.
free drops.
8
Worst-
2 drop.
Yeah, and
worst
then
case,
free drops.
worst case scenario is that we can pop our hero ability, so we really
Yeah.
don't want 2 drops.
That's a little
So,
We don't want.
what do we move on to? Do we move on to the 3 drops? How many cards are we missing from the deck?
We are missing 7
7.
cards.
7 cards. Okay. Well, moving on to the 3 drops, I guess.
Sure.
So, how do people feel about Acolyte of Pain?
No.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
It's a
It's
control.
not
One damage,
rushy at
man.
all.
1 damage is way too low.
It's not
I
aggressive.
guess.
We don't want to draw cards. We have Divine Favor for that.
Okay, cool. Well, Blood Knight.
I think
Ah,
I think
well,
maybe
blood-
you should talk about Arcane Golem actually. Also,
Arcane Golem. Well, we can talk about that. Well, how do you feel about Arcane
Yeah.
Golem?
It could
Um,
be used.
I'm not saying that I'm a fan, but in a rush deck, I think it has to be mentioned that Arcane Golem is sometimes common, and since it has 2 health, not 1, it's maybe viable. I don't know. It works well with Blessing of Might, for example.
It's 7 damage with blessing. Yeah.
I really don't like the drawback, though. I'm always afraid to play it because of the drawback.
What you
Yeah,
want to
it's-
do is play it late game when you are almost sure you've already won.
Like
so.
if you're the turn player and this is your only free drop, you drop it and they can play send you next turn. It just sucks.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they can play a 5 drop even.
But
if
you
they
don't want
started.
to.
Good
You don't
point,
want
yeah.
to drop Arcane Golem on turn 3 like ever.
No, but yeah,
So,
just
Well, we actually recently saw it on ESGN.
Yeah, they did it on turn 3 and it had major drawbacks.
yeah. You don't want to do that. But you talked. Okay, so I guess we agree that we don't want it here, or I just.
0, 1, 2.
I think 0.
yeah.
I don't
we
think it
could
fits in
go
here too
1,
well.
but I'm not.
Could go 1, I agree, but I think 0.
Because of the might of.
We don't have too
Blessing of
much
Might.
space.
Yeah.
Blood Knight,
so-
however, I don't know.
Moving on to Blood Knight.
I think Blood Knight is a really fun card, and
I'd
in
like
this
one.
Potential.
in this deck you will oftentimes actually get some value out of it, because you have the Argent Squires and you have the Argent Protector. But still, I feel like it's a turn too slow, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
It's just sits there, and
Well, if it's a 6/6 that just sits there.
Yeah.
But if it's not a 6/6 that just sits there, then it's a free drop, and you just
True.
it's. I feel like
So-
it's a little too situational.
Moving on
The-
to
the-
the
the big-
next. Oh.
One note. The big question about Blood Knight, are we gonna play Scarlet Crusader? In this?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Because I think if we play Scarlet Crusader, we play one of this.
I don't own it, so.
Yeah,
The
okay,
Blood
then we
Knight
don't
or
play
the
it.
Sky
And
Crusader.
the best argument.
enough. Fair enough. Then we don't play it.
I have all the cards you need for Paladin.
So anyway, Earthring Farseer.
Nope.
Not
Sus-
aggressive.
Healing effect not useful, I guess.
No, I'm not aggressive.
Oh, Elder Peacekeeper.
It's a
is
good
better.
card, but it's not aggressive.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Total
I-
Light Oracle is better in that way.
It's
You
the
like
same.
throw
It's
cards.
the same thing with the Blood Knight almost. It has the same stats, but do you really want to heal yourself for free? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
you
Yeah,
don't
I
really-
would rather have Blood
I would
Knight.
rather
Blood
much
Knight
rather.
has the potential of being really aggressive.
I would
to get
much
effect.
rather play Blood Knight than Earthen Ring in this, for example.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
So on that note, Harvest Golem.
Yeah,
Especially
I
in
think
good guys.
I think Harvest Golem should be in there. To be honest,
It combos really well with the sword.
the sort of
Harvest
justice.
Golem
Yeah.
is just very strong.
Yeah.
It's
I don't-
just, it's basically, I think we can agree that in general, it's the best 3-drop that's neutral.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we
Yeah.
want 2 of those in here because
I
it
think
is kind of slow. But I don't know.
But it trades well.
It trades
It
well.
leaves, even if someone kills it, it leaves a minion
Yeah,
behind
2 damage to
to-
hit.
to hit for the next turn.
But don't
So-
you think we'll be a little tight on space? Maybe. Okay, we can try
I know
putting.
we have 7.
I think
Okay.
we have stuff we can maybe
Should be
take
fine.
out.
That should be
Eye
fine.
for an eye, maybe.
Yeah, for example.
We will
So,
see.
0, 1, 2, fast.
I do.
Yeah,
2.
sure. We can try to. I actually think there's a lot of things we can put in from
Yeah.
3 drops.
I like 1 personally in
Yeah.
here because it's a good card, but it's still not so rushy that you want 2. But
Yeah, it's 2-3 and not 3-2. Yeah, I agree.
Alright, cool. Moving on. An interesting card, maybe perhaps King Mokla. If let's
doesn't
pretend
own it.
Michael have it.
Bet you he
I
doesn't.
I would actually play it, I think.
I-
Because we have so many cards that trade really good in the early game, like Lebanon and Argent Squire and Noble sacrifice to like eat the hit from whatever he buffs with the banana. If you get it on turn 3, like those 5 damage are there to stay.
I guess an argument is that you play really early, so if you have the Mokla, you can go for board control, and he will have nothing on the field he can buff.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which makes Mokla very good.
Yeah, we have to remember that this plays a little differently than Rush Hunter, because there's no charge in these dudes.
Yeah, this doesn't just go
sometimes. Sometimes
it's a little bit slower, but it's also a little more
consistent.
It's more controlling, yeah.
Yeah, and it has a little more pack for the punch. I don't know.
Yeah,
it has a backup plan if the face doesn't.
In this deck, you're not completely screwed if you lose if you haven't won by turn 8, for example. You still have some plays you can make, I feel.
Yep, you can Divine Favor and own it up.
Yeah,
anyway,
not just that, but yeah.
King Mukla, interesting card.
Yeah.
Yes, do it.
Perhaps
very fast. Why do raid leader suck?
What?
Very fast. Why do raid leader suck?
Raid leader.
Raid leader?
Yeah.
Because it is terrible.
Too low stats. It's 2-2. If it had been 2-3, then
maybe. Or actually, not
more
maybe.
legit,
it would be actually,
but 2-2.
Good, so.
It just does nothing on its own. It needs a huge field to pay off for its cost.
And so, this deck will not really have a
like compared to the wolf, Timber Wolf. How often do you have more than 2 monsters on the field at turn 3?
Yeah, exactly. Good.
I mean, even Timberwolf and that is not like good. It's good because of the combo, but with Raid Leader, it's 2 more mana and 1 more in each stats.
Yeah, I'm just saying Timberwolf is better, and I'm not saying Timberwolf is good.
Is better, but when you compare to Raid Leader is shitty compared to that.
Yeah.
So moving on, guys, we gotta hurry a bit.
Scarlet Crusader, right?
Scarlet Crusader. You read my mind.
She's cool.
We should play her.
Yeah, she's cool.
Like that. It works well with equality also because it only has 1.
Yeah, she's cool. It's more damage than Golem, and she kind of survives the same amount.
Yeah.
0, 1, 2?
2.
2.
Cool. How many cards do we miss? 3 or something?
Yeah, exactly 3.
I think we should.
So do we need more 3-drops?
Like we could put in Shattered.
Yeah, I would like Shattered, but I feel like there are some cards that we might want otherwise. I don't know. For example, Leroy.
Oh yeah, we need Leroy.
We need Leroy, I guess.
How about okay, what do we need in the deck? Like we have 3 spots missing. What do we
need
really
2 Defend of Argus. Do we agree on that?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure actually.
Okay.
The stats they give are not like too good.
I would rather have Dark and Wolf in here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's maybe true.
Which I don't know.
Well, let's stick to what do we need? Like what do we have? Like can you go down the mana curve just quickly?
Oh yeah, sure. The mana curve is very balanced. There's 7 1-drops, 8 2-drops, 7 3-drops, and 5 4-drops right now.
Cool. So what do we specifically need? Like do we need
we need a Leroy.
Do we need one-off cards? I guess you could say. Like do we need legendaries?
We do need Leroy, however.
Yeah.
We want the Leroy.
We just need like
have Leroy.
We need as much damage as
Leroy,
possible.
sure.
Yeah, I do. They have Leroy.
Oh, you have it. Nice.
Leroy
Then it's only me that doesn't have it.
It was your first legendary, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do people feel about Tinkmaster in this type of deck?
I like it.
Remove a taunt.
And I feel like you can always have your little silver hand knight. Or not silver hand knight, silver hand recruit, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
And you can use it on that, or on your divine squires.
I like it.
Yeah.
It has good synergy in here, apart from being Tinkmaster. So.
I'm gonna put it in an owl instead because they don't have Tinkmaster.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
so,
because that's what we're going to be wanting to use it for most of the time.
Yeah,
to remove the taunt.
It taunts.
So an owl is okay.
For now, there is 1 card missing.
Yeah, exactly.
And do we have anything above 4 mana?
Nope.
Nope. Do we need anything above 4 mana?
That is, I'm looking at it now.
Did you have the Dark and Dwarf? No,
it could be the 4-2 charge with
Nightblade?
No, the 4-2 charger.
I like the 6 mana
Divine Shield.
charge. Yeah. I like it.
Oh yeah, true. We could add 1 Argent Commander.
1, 2, 0.
1 because that is what we have space for.
I kind of would like to have space for 2, but I think 1 is okay.
I think we can take away eye for an eye, put in an another.
He hates
Yeah,
that
we
card.
could probably.
I'm
Yeah,
not a
let's
fan
take
of
out eye for
Do we
eye
all
for
agree
it.
on that? Okay, take out eye for an eye and put in the
Yeah.
second.
The commander is just way more consistent, I feel.
Commander.
And
Yeah.
it makes more damage probably than eye for eye anyway. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Michael,
And
be
he's
our
great
eyes.
because he can hit for 4 damage and then they have to remove it, otherwise he hits for 4 more next time.
Yeah. Michael, be our eyes. Are we happy with the deck?
The deck looks good actually.
and why
Like-
does it do that?
Like every other deck, you have to play it.
Yeah, definitely.
But the curve is very well distributed around 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And this is like an early deck where we don't rush for the face, but we try to build early field that they cannot, like there's no way they can control it. So we trade well and hit for face every time we can, and maybe sometimes a little more often than that. So that is why it looks great. For like if we had a control deck, I would rather have it be equal all the way, maybe slightly less at 5, 6, and 7, but have cards in that area where we have 0 cards right now. But yeah, it is a rush deck, so we don't mind having this.
It's an early game based
Yeah,
deck, so
exactly.
you naturally want a lot of early game cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Big surprise.
We want that Fairy Dragon and then the Argent Protector to make the Fairy Dragon insane. So.
On knife juggler also. Yeah, that's just good in general.
Yeah. And in general, if you're playing arena, this is what you often want to try to do. Like build up the early game a little more. You still need late drops, but you want to focus on the early game a little more.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, an idea I just had. What do we? Let's say to save a bit of time this time. Let's say for the next time we will maybe try to play the deck a bit on the ladder, and perhaps go into more in depth how we feel about the deck and
Maybe a little,
what possible
little-
changes could be made. Go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, and a little maybe a little commentary for the first 5 or 6 rounds or something. Just show a bit of a game.
Yeah.
And say why do we do this and why is this good in this deck and so on. Why we play like this.
Cool. Well, so for next time, we will have a bit more content with this deck, and we will try to, I guess, talk a bit about it, talk about the weaknesses, the strengths, the possible traits of cards. And yeah, is that cool? Do you think we can do that?
Yeah, I guess. I guess we could try the deck and see how much it wrecks face, or see
Cool.
how much it doesn't wreck face.
Yeah. And I really hope that you guys understood why we made this deck, or not why we made it, but why we made our choices. So it's not just you looking at us putting in some random cards and you think, oh, okay, whatever they say, right? So if you have any questions or something related to the deck, feel free to write us also. If you're curious about some cards that we maybe skipped and you want to know why did we skip those cards, you can ask. Yeah. It's just a little thing.
Cool. So because we used a lot of time this time talking about different things, we got a bit, I guess, ahead of ourselves on a few topics. I guess we will swiftly go through the in-house tournament that we played. Basically, it was with last week's deck challenge, where we would put together a random deck by simply autofilling the deck. And then we would create 4 absolutely terrible decks and play against each other with these literally terrible decks that you should never make yourself. And somehow we ended up finding a winner, which was, of course, me, because I am awesome.
Pure
or
luck.
something. Yeah, I guess I got a bit lucky on that. I actually got a Ysera in my draft, and my
Yeah.
strategy for every single match was, if I ever saw it like on my starting hand, I would never mulligan it away. I would just keep it, and turn 9 I would win every time.
Yeah, what I would do though, because my Hunter deck, that was amazing, I drew Captain's Parrot, but no pirates, so that's great. and 2 Bestial Wraths, amazing stuff. And
So-
not to forget the Gelbin Megatalk and the Chicken Nicer. Yeah.
So- Point of the story is you can get some fun matches when you play random decks, and definitely try it with some friends. if you feel like getting a bit of change from the standards taken into meta.
Yeah, it's really good to have some fun. Like, I got owned by Kidnapper, for example, when I played against Michael.
Yeah,
it's not something you do every day, so...
That's something you would
I
never
actually won.
expect.
I won 2 games with Kidnapper.
Oh.
So maybe it's legit.
Like both the games I won, it was with Kidnapper, removing a taunt, but the thing was I had to wait for turn 10.
So, Michael, what you're saying is Kidnapper, is it a good card?
Sucks. Like, if I had Sap, I would have won 3 turns earlier. I was just sitting there and waiting. Well, I have a 4-drop and a Kidnapper. And I'm at 7 mana, so I have to wait 3 turns more before I can actually remove stuff. So.
Cool. Well, I guess, like I said, point of the story was quite fun. We didn't get much out of it. We tried a few new cards, like Captain's Parrot, which was amazing in test.
With Bestial Wrath.
With Bestial Wrath.
Oh.
So, yeah, definitely was a fun challenge. I won, which was amazing. And
yeah,
I think that was...
You won because you had a legendary stupid in game.
Yes. Oh, well.
Really tried out. It's amazing.
And we ignore the shield bearer.
Definitely.
100% there here.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think that was it for this time. We made a bit of a longer episode than planned, but I think it was definitely fun. We got a bit of a great new segment, I feel like, with the deck building. We went into great depth with a few cards, talked about why they're good, why they're bad, why they fit a deck. I think we'll definitely talk a bit more in depth about certain cards the next time as well. Yeah.
I'd actually like to question our viewers if they would like us to do like a deck building like we did like this time once in a while, if they found it interesting, because it was like different. Yeah, I'd like to hear if they liked it.
Possibly possibly viewers, they could throw out an idea. For example, make an I don't know, aggro priest deck,
yeah,
or
something.
We could also like play it together if we can set that up. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah,
on the
play together
podcast.
with the viewers would be pretty cool.
I guess that's to be determined until next time.
It's some ideas for sure.
So to wrap this up, any shoutouts, plugs? Anyone wanna say something in the end?
Yeah.
Let's go, Mike, Eric.
Give a shout out to our viewers and thank you for really supporting us here. It's still very early for us, and we really feel like we are getting better and better at this. So
but we still are not able to keep it. Like it gets longer and longer every time. So
yeah. But that's just good, more for the buck, right?
Yeah.
And
Pro tip: feel free to download it as an MP3, like convert it or something, and listen to it when you're going home to your grandma somewhere.
And right now we want you to.
But we are telling you that after you watch 2 hours.
Nice.
Yeah. So maybe that should be in the description.
Well,
so
maybe.
Right now, you can feel free to close this window, open the good old card collection, and make a nice deck and win. Because now you know how to do it, right?
Yeah, we just taught you how to.
Well, perhaps we can go more in depth with that on another time. So anyway, Michael, any quick shout-out plugs?
I want to give a shout-out to Michael.
Good job.
I would just very shortly say that the Friday Night Swiss was really cool, and I'm looking forward to be playing in the gosucup here from Saturday, and if I get time at least, I hope I will play in some of those tournaments, and it'll be amazing. And I guess that's it.
Yeah, Chris, any shoutouts, plugs? You wanna make some promises with Legendary this season?
Shout out to ESGN as well. They
You're
make
in a hurry if you
cool
want
content.
I'm not gonna promise Legend, but I'll promise I'm gonna try.
Well, that's the best we can do at the end of the day.
And shout out to ESGN Fight Night. Which
they make cool
content.
A
good video. Maybe you can see it on the channel here. I don't know.
No, not yet.
No.
Okay.
No.
You'll definitely not see a great video on this channel.
No, you will not. You will not know whatever he said. It was something.
It was lies and deceit.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I think that's it for this time. Hope you enjoyed this as much as we do, and I hope you will watch all of our videos in the future. We promise they will be as good as we can make them, and we will definitely.
And maybe
From this video, we will try to focus more and more on getting the quality up and make them even better. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this rather long cast. Cheers, and